A 13-year-old Christian girl in Pakistan, like so many other Christian girls in Pakistan, has been kidnapped, forcibly converted to Islam, forcibly married to a much older Muslim, and repeatedly raped by him. There's nothing her family can do about it because the Pakistani courts have upheld the marriage. And if you have any problem whatsoever with Christian girls being kidnapped, forcibly converted to Islam, forcibly married to much older Muslims, and repeatedly raped, then you are, according to Muslim leaders around the world, an Islamophobe and a bigot. The Daily Mail reports. A 13-year-old Christian girl was kidnapped in Pakistan and forced to marry a 44-year-old man who made her convert to Islam, campaigners say. Arzoo Raja was abducted from her home in Karachi on October 13th, and 2 days later, her husband produced a marriage certificate saying she was 18 and had converted to Islam. The case has led to protests in Karachi and Lahore, but a Pakistani court has upheld the marriage after her husband claimed she had converted of her own free will. Her husband, i.e., her kidnapper and rapist, claimed she had converted of her own free will. Sadly, under Sharia, that's considered an airtight case. Arzoo tried to run to her mother during the court hearing, but her husband held her in a tight grip to stop her from leaving, it is alleged. And here I thought that she was with her husband of her own free will. Arzoo's father, Raja, said that his daughter had been abducted from the family home in Karachi's railway colony after her parents went to work. When police contacted the family 2 days later, they said that the husband had already obtained a marriage certificate according to a Christian group called the Center for Legal Aid, Assistance, and Settlement. Very often, young girls are threatened into giving statements to the court saying they have married and converted to Islam of their own free will, said Class UK Director Nasser Saeed. It is a very sensitive matter for Pakistani Christians, but sadly it is all falling on the deaf ears of the politicians and the authorities. It is sad as the Pakistani police and courts have failed to respect their own laws, as well as international standards, which are continuing to be ignored, especially in forced conversion and forced marriage cases, even in the higher courts. Arzoo allegedly had her name changed to Arzoo Fatima, and a judge claimed that she had converted to Islam of her own free will. Funny how Muslim kidnappers and their judicial enablers keep saying what Arzoo Raja is doing of her own free will, even as she's being physically restrained by her rapist. At a court hearing, the husband allegedly held on tightly to her arm to stop her reaching her mother, who was not allowed to meet her daughter. That's strange. If she converted to Islam of her own free will and married a Muslim of her own free will, why wouldn't she be allowed to talk to her mother? The certificate said she was 18, but the family has a birth certificate showing she is 13, according to a Catholic organization called Aid to the Church in Need. So, her parents have her birth certificate showing that she's only 13 years old. But her husband, i.e. her kidnapper and rapist, produced a new document which says that she's 18 years old. Again, under Sharia, this is considered an airtight case for the rapist. For the husband. The charity says that Arzoo's parents have lost their jobs and been threatened by kidnappers since their daughter disappeared. Notice, their daughter gets kidnapped, forcibly converted to Islam, forcibly married to her kidnapper, and repeatedly raped by him, and the Pakistani courts put their stamp of approval on all of this. But since the parents are Christians and they object to this, they lose their jobs and they're being threatened by Muslims. And again, don't forget that if you have a problem with any of this, you're an Islamophobe and a bigot. According to figures from the campaign group Girls Not Brides, around 21% of girls in Pakistan are married before the age of 18. The group says that traditionalist customs and religious views mean some families believe they should marry off their daughters once they reach puberty. As revolting as it is to marry off daughters as soon as they reach puberty, Keep in mind that this is far more ethical than Muhammad and the Quran. Muhammad had sex with a prepubescent girl named Aisha, and the Quran promotes marriage to prepubescent girls. So Pakistani Muslims are actually living far better lives than their prophet lived. Low levels of education are also described as both a cause and a consequence of child marriage, it says. In 2017, Pakistan's government tried to crack down on child marriage by imposing prison sentences up to 10 years for offenders. Laws against child marriage just don't work in Muslim countries, since Muslim religious leaders will always point out that such laws contradict the teachings and example of Muhammad. Why are Christians treated like garbage in Muslim countries? It's because Allah declares that Christians are garbage. Surah 98, verse 6 of the Quran. Verily, those who disbelieve in the religion of Islam, the Quran, and Prophet Muhammad, from among the people of the Scripture, Jews and Christians, and al-mushrikun, those are idolaters, will abide in the fire of hell. They are the worst of creatures. Christians, like other non-Muslims, are the worst of all creatures, lower than dogs, lower than pigs, lower than insects. Why should Muslim judges care at all about Christian girls being kidnapped, forcibly converted, forcibly married, and repeatedly raped? Allah certainly doesn't care. Now think about this. Do Muslim judges in Pakistan know that these Christian girls are being kidnapped, forcibly converted, forcibly married, and raped? Of course they do. So, why don't these Muslim judges help the Christian girls? Obviously, there can be fears of a Muslim backlash. The Muslim community just isn't going to allow a judge to side with Christians over Muslims, even if Christian girls are being kidnapped and raped. But apart from that, due to the teachings of Muhammad and the Quran, many Muslim judges believe it's actually better for a girl to be taken away from her Christian parents and to be forced to convert and to be forced to marry a Muslim man. That girl will be better off as a Muslim with a Muslim family than as a Christian with a Christian family. So the judges protect kidnappers and rapists due to their tremendous love of Allah and Muhammad. And how do Pakistani leaders like Prime Minister Imran Khan respond to the blatant anti-Christian persecution in their country? They respond by lecturing us on morality and by demanding that we respect the religion that's been causing this anti-Christian persecution for 14 centuries. Good luck with that, Pakistani leaders. I have a feeling that the world is getting awfully sick of respecting a religion that has no respect for us.